And we'd like to welcome our viewers on CBS Channel 2 at 11 o'clock, and we are still on KCAL 9. We begin with breaking news at this hour: an explosion at a Chevron refinery in El Segundo. People who live nearby are describing the moment of impact felt like an earthquake.
And this is what the fire looked like during the 9 o'clock hour. The flames so large, our Desmond Shaw in SkyCal could see them all the way from the Sepulveda Pass.
Okay, let's get right to Desmond. He is live in SkyCal right now. Well, Des, looks like a very different picture.
Well, yeah, you know, Pat and Rudaby, I mean, I was hoping to come to you with some better news this hour. Oh, my goodness, this all of a sudden, this fire has reignited, and it looks very serious again. Right around 10:45 or so, this had begun to, there was no fire here. I mean, we know we showed you earlier, but then it seemed like they started flaring off of this other stack over here, the secondary one here. This one has always been going, but then not long after that one began flaring, this fire was out, and now just within the last couple of minutes it has reignited again, and it looks really pretty awful. I mean, I can't tell. It doesn't look to be controlled to me, certainly not in the way that those stacks are over to the left that I was just showing you. So we've been watching this hook and ladder, which as I zoom in and I'm going to double in, I'm not even sure that there's a firefighter up here. This might be like, it looks like it might be remote, you know, to keep firefighters away as far as possible. But they're spraying this from what I believe is about 150 feet away. I tried measuring it here. Here, we'll kind of try it again and see what it says. Yeah, a little more than 150 feet. You see that high pressure line that's just been trying to kind of cool all of this down. And it seemed like it was having a really big effect. And now all of a sudden we're seeing this really, really intense fireball again. And as I widen out, you just look at all of that pollution that is coming out now onto the LA basin here, out of the South Bay, this ominous black plume right in here, all of those hydrocarbons and who knows what else. It's very, very bad news, obviously, for air quality. So, you know, not entirely sure what is happening here. What certainly seemed like it was under control just a few moments ago, kind of hard to say that now, Pat and Rudaby. You
wonder, you don't think that that's happening on purpose? I know I heard earlier reports about them having their own fire department. They train regularly. And I thought I heard that they were going to just sort of let this burn off. So it makes me wonder, is this something that they expected to happen?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I thought, you know, I kind of thought that's what was happening over here with these right here, these big burn-offs that were going off, but it just looked so sudden and and intense looking that it's kind of hard to say. And we know that this was in the area where that explosion was that began all of this and where they've been focusing all of their attention. So, you know, it's kind of hard to say. It may be possible. It is definitely true with a lot of these refinery fires that they do just kind of have to burn themselves out. And obviously there is nothing but a ton of fuel in this facility. That's obviously what all of this is. So this could be burning for a very long time. It might die down again. Maybe it's something that's going to erupt and then die down and erupt again throughout the night. But incredibly intense looking pictures, that is for sure. I know that there was, you know, talk about, people were asking about traffic implications and whatnot. As we kind of widen out, I'll just show you right down in here. This is Sepulveda and Rosecrans, a very major intersection, which is partially shut down right now. It looks like by El Segundo PD to give plenty of room for the all the personnel to come and go from the scene. But we'll just kind of have to see how this progresses. But this is a very intense looking fireball that just reignited a couple of moments ago.
Absolutely. Let's get a look now from the ground. Hunter Sowards is live in El Segundo for us. Hunter, are you there?
Hi there. Yeah, Rudaby, we're across from East El Segundo Boulevard. And as you were hearing, I mean, we can see the smoke behind us. It almost appears that something may have flared back up or reignited. I actually just spoke to some people who just walked by that said that they could see this from miles and miles away. The photo they showed me was from 10 to 15 miles away, but you could just see that fireball in the sky. So again, want to show you what we're seeing over our shoulder here as those people are walking by, taking videos. Of course, people are being asked to avoid this area because right now, this is a really unpredictable situation. I spoke to another young man who was across the street from this explosion when it happened. He said he was working out at the gym less than half a mile away. He told me that it felt like the room just shook, but I want to hear him describe it in his own words. Take a listen to what he said when this all unfolded.
I was at the gym, I was working out, and then suddenly I was told I had to evacuate all of a sudden. And apparently the people at the gym felt a blast. And I was just, I don't know. I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was like, holy crap, this is, I mean, they do like these kind of like controlled flames, like fire a lot of times. But this time it was like clearly like actually like a lot taller, like hundreds of feet tall. And the gas was like, I couldn't smell anything. So I just started like, it just started getting really hard to breathe all of a sudden.
All right, we want to show you that video. This is what he took on his cell phone the minutes he walked out of that gym. You can see just how intense those flames are. He told me he could even at one point feel the heat of those flames. That is how close he was. He said, of course, he was fearing for his life. He got out of there as quickly as he could. But as you were watching him talk to us there from his apartment, you could still see that flare up behind him in the background. And then obviously him taking those videos, giving us just a clearer perspective of just how intense those flames are. Back out here live, we want to show you again that flare up that appears to be happening as people are pulling over on the side of the road here at East El Segundo Boulevard and trying to get a look of it themselves. Officials and first responders are, of course, telling people to avoid doing that if you can. Obviously, we're out here just trying to give you that information that we feel is so critical. But if you can avoid the area and you don't have to be here, this pulling over on the side of the road and getting out of your car and trying to take these videos, we've also been seeing those first responders and firefighters driving by. So that's just another factor here, Pat and Rudabeh, to think about as we start to see this kind of unfold in another way. Obviously, that explosion happening earlier tonight, but this is still a very active scene. So always a good reminder here to stay out of those first responders' way.
Very good advice there. Very good advice, and thank you so much for that descriptive reporting there, Hunter. And now we want to bring in Ed Wolfman. He's a Manhattan Beach resident. Ed, can you tell us about what you heard and what you saw?
Yeah, it was about, maybe an hour and a half ago, and we had some friends over, and we were having dinner, and then there was a big boom, and we just assumed that it was an earthquake. That's kind of what we figured it was, although we didn't feel the ground shaking, so we were a little puzzled. And then shortly thereafter, one of our friend's sons called from the beach area and said that there was smoke coming into their house. Originally what she thought was that he was saying that the house was on fire.
Do you mind if I
clarified it, said there's smoke coming in from the Chevron fire. And he sent some pictures along and showed the fireball from they have a multi-story house near the beach, and you could see it pretty well. I got a pretty good picture. He was told to close the windows and turn on the air conditioning.
Good advice.
And subsequent to that, for the last hour or so, there have been helicopters all over our neighborhood. There's looking out the back of my house, and there's one, and there's another one out in front. I don't know if these are news helicopters or what. They're parked right above our house. And we're about, I think, a half mile to a mile from where the plant is. And from the second story of my house, I can still see very clearly an orange glow. I can't see the flames from here, but I can definitely see the orange glow.
You know what, Ed, were you there in 2022 when there was a fire at this refinery?
I was here. I don't remember it.
Okay, so I was asking if you had any impression, that you could compare what you witnessed in 2022 and what you're seeing now. But as you say, you can see an orange glow, but you really can't see the flames.
Yeah, I can see the orange glow, but I'm not close enough, high enough to see a flame. The only flame I'm seeing is the one on your newscap.
What about the air quality there? Do you smell anything? Do you notice the air quality?
No, not yet. Although I guess from what I've learned from your broadcast, that we might have to be concerned about it tomorrow. I've got a tennis match scheduled for tomorrow with a bunch of my buddies who I know are listening. And I guess we'll have to see if we're going to get out and play or whether the air quality is going to be too bad.
Well, you have to be careful with that. Ed, have you heard from any of, any law enforcement or fire department personnel that have sent notices or alerts to residents?
Yeah, I've gotten 2 text messages from emergency management indicating that there is a fire at the plant, the Chevron plant, but that there's no public danger.
Okay, so they're not telling you to leave or anything like that?
No. They're just alerting us to the fact that there is an incident there, and they've said twice, no public danger.
Well, that's a relief to hear.
Yeah, so you're not really concerned then, Ed. You sound pretty calm. That's good.
Well, lots of it because of you, because you're giving us good information. We heard Supervisor Mitchell on your broadcast, on your 10 o'clock broadcast, and she was saying that seemed like everything was getting under control and there's nothing to worry about for the moment. So that's kind of what we're thinking. But you did say to stay vigilant, so we're going to do that.
Well, wow. Thank you so much, Ed, for watching our broadcast and talking with us this evening. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Lauren Posen again. She is live on the ground there in El Segundo. And Lauren, you seeing this flare-up that we're seeing from the air?
Yes, we are. Still the flare-up that we showed you earlier is too. To me, it's going down a little bit. It's not the smoke isn't as dark as when we first saw it, but it's still quite a sight, and people are pulled over to the side here to look at this. We'll show over here just real quickly. I want to focus on that, but also show you what it's like out here. We're right across the street from the Plaza El Segundo. You can see these people here. They're on top of their car here. They got their phones out, probably live streaming. And then, of course, the people in front of us. And I'm going to bring in over here Alexa. She works at one of the restaurants, and she was closing just as this was happening about 9:35. Alexis, tell us again, you were closing out, you walked outside. What did you see exactly?
So we were closing, and then my coworker, he's like, look outside, it's like all orange. And then we just see this big explosion, and then we see all the fire just rising up, and it was just a crazy sight to see, honestly. It was bad.
And one thing I noticed right now is I don't smell anything. When you cover fires, you usually smell something in the air. It's hard to breathe. Not smelling that right now, but you said it was a different story earlier.
When we were on the way over here, you could just smell it just smelled burned. But it's interesting that it doesn't smell here. But yeah, just on the way over here, just all smelled burned. Yeah.
And I know you've been watching this with us as well here. Tell me, when you see the flare-ups happen, what's going through your mind here, being so close to where Alexa was working and to where your family is?
I mean, at first I'm like, oh, I thought it was a different location, so I got a little more worried because it was more closer to us. But then seeing it, it's still worrying to see it still go on, still the flames burning and all that, and it just looks like it's getting worse.
Thank you very much for telling us your experiences. And one thing that we've heard throughout the newscast is possibly Desmond was saying, Pat, I believe you said it too, we were hearing that they might just let this burn out. So maybe that's why we are going to see these flare-ups like this until it's out. Maybe that's just part of the process. We're still waiting to get official word on that, but that's something that we're hearing as well. And if you've already heard this, just let me know. But I was watching on social media, the governor, his office posted that they are watching this very closely. Manhattan Beach also issued an order to people letting them know no evacuations as of right now. But again, asking everyone to please stay on top of this and keep alert because things could change. But as of right now, no evacuations.
It's interesting, Lauren, to hear them say that they couldn't smell anything. We know that's 290,000 barrels of crude oil that is refined there, and that includes gasoline, jet fuels, and the like. So the fact that they're not smelling anything right now, I mean, I would say that's a good sign. Of course, we don't know how things could change in the morning when the smoke is cleared and whatever, chemicals could still be in the air. And the fact that they're getting these messages saying that they don't have to evacuate.